saying. Another 10
Oh, they
seconds.
can hear us.
Yeah. Remember that?
Secrets.
I like it better actually, because like, why just watch something saying "come back soon" when it could be listening to us already? And I don't even know what the difference is.
No, you know, this also gives the impression that maybe we've been talking for hours or maybe days, and then this only interrupted the stream of things. Oh, we're live. Let's actually change then what we're talking about.
By the way, a little bit different thing I'm doing now. I'm taking the advice of what we've been told last couple of times, where somebody said, "Dude, you need better titles and you need a different thumbnail each time." And initially I was like, "No, I don't want to do that. That's so much fucking work." It doesn't take much longer. It didn't take me very long. I measured it. It didn't take long. So it really only makes sense if you're gonna have, we've been doing like 5 topics. You can't make a thumbnail on 5 topics. So what I'm doing is picking one as the main one, make that the title. I've seen this with other people, by the way.
Yeah, that's
their main thing as the main title, and then they only talk about that maybe 10 minutes. The rest of their thing is about other things, which has nothing to do with the name or the thumbnail or anything.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want the titles and the thumbnails to be clickbaity. You don't want people to say,
"Oh, no, I don't want to." Yeah. It needs to be the main, like half of it. Half of it needs to be on this topic. Okay, so the one we picked today, and actually, I just want to show you the thumbnail. I'm guessing you haven't seen it, right?
I have actually, because it's available on. Well, I don't know if it's for me because I'm part of this, but I was able to see it. It showed a man with a little girl wearing hijab.
Yeah, and by the way, ChatGPT made that little image. I said, "Here's the topic, here's the description, make a image." The first thing it did dumb, if we're going to be analyzing AIs right now, it shouldn't have put words in it, but it did put words. I already had words. I said, "Give me an image that's just the image." So anyway, and then the dad looks mad in the picture it made, and he's looking at the daughter, and I thought maybe he should be looking at Allah. You know what I mean? So I told him, have him look up at Allah, and like the expression doesn't make sense because they're scared, right? The dude in this picture doesn't look scared. We're talking a lot without people knowing what we're saying. Probably, should we put it on the screen?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me see if I can figure that out. And I mean quickly. There it is. That was quick. Okay. It didn't work. Hold on.
Yeah, that's the actual. Okay.
Oh no! Here. Okay. Yeah. Finally. So, Muslims forcing hijab so they don't go to hell. And ChatGPT made this picture. I mean, by the way, those faces look real, with real facial expressions.
Yeah, and if you were to feed it into another AI that can produce videos, they will look really very convincing. So, hello, yeah. So, I'm not an SEO person, but if I want to think about a thumbnail, the image is great, but probably it needs to take more of the real estate.
Yeah. You're right. And like our faces are not too important, but then if we start putting a whole picture instead of our faces, then it feels like maybe every time it has to be that way. I don't know.
Well, what I see people do with thumbnails, if they want to have some persistent personality throughout, would be to have that image that's representing the thumbnail mixed in with us, you, me, doing some kind of an impression of what's actually being.
Wow, that is so much harder. I think.
Yeah,
no. AI is like really doing all of it.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean,
for me, like I don't have graphic design skills. I'm using Canva probably at a level of the worst users of Canva. I mean, I'm at least using it. 1%
I think, or something. Yeah, I think what we have right now is good enough. If this requires more changes in the future, that could happen. But this is already a step up. So
Yeah. Big step up. Yep. Okay, let's either get to the main topic, or maybe I say one thing. I'm gonna say one thing. I hate that it does that. It needs to switch back to this. Like, can't you understand defaults? Or let me set a default? It's 2025.
Well, but before we start, can I don't know, we didn't discuss this, but I'd like to just share a link, if that's actually possible, for a petition to get Betty Lashkar from
yes,
entertainment. So
I can't believe I forgot that.
Let me
maybe from the sickness. That's what I'm doing. I'm blaming the sickness.
Yeah, so this is
let's see. I'm gonna just copy that link, and then I'm gonna go to comments and say, what do you want me to say?
Just sign the petition.
Sign this petition to free Betty.
Yeah.
Probably needs more than that.
Yeah, I should have sent that before, but yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. It's Ibtisam, right?
Yeah, Ibtisam Lashkar.
Lashka, and she's going by Betty to people who are not from Morocco, I guess, or Arabic. I don't know.
Yeah.
And do you know how to spell all that? What? Ibtisam.
Well, it's already spelled in the link.
Okay. Let me just open the link real quick.
Well, it's like Ibtisam in English, but because it's a French link, it has an E at the end.
Okay, and let's see here. Comments. To free Betty. Ibtisam Lashkar, I think, is being held. Where can I get some quick language? Maybe from the petition. Oh, it's all in. Oh, is it in French and English?
Yeah, I mean, you can. It's
There's some English. Okay, there's also English. All right. Oh, this is long. I don't know how to quickly summarize that.
Well,
let's invent it.
Maybe we can put that at some later point.
No, that's okay. We can do it quick. Sign this petition to free Betty. She's being held. What do you call it? In detention. In Morocco. Something like with a charge of. Is that how to say it? With a charge of. Well, they didn't even charge her, right?
Well, there are two different charges. One of them is related to insulting the Islamic religion, and one of them is potentially related to a clause in the criminal law about homosexuality.
Oh, shit.
I don't know if the second one has actually been invoked, but this seems to be an issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, the actual, because I know for a period she wasn't even charged yet.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't be able to say anything. They're just holding her, waiting to charge her, which, well, I don't know about Morocco, but like in the US, that's illegal. Although I know it happens.
Well,
and there's
it's complicated.
Yeah. And I don't understand the law. With a charge of insulting Islam, all she did was post on X a picture of her with a shirt saying Allah is lesbian. And then let me get the link again. I mean, copy.
Yeah, I also added Al-Hurriya Ibtisam Lashkar, but you might also want to add that to attract also people who might be speaking in Arabic.
Let's see how copy paste works. Left to right, right to left. I would have trouble with that. I guess I'll put it in parentheses. Does that work? Do I backspace? Oh, that worked. Okay, I think it's ready. Oh no, it broke it up into two. Damn it. So sign this petition to free Betty Ibtisam Leshkar.
Lashgar.
Huh?
Lashgar.
Leshka. She's being held in detention in Morocco with a charge of insulting Islam. All she did was post on X a picture of her with a shirt saying Allah's lesbian. And I'm pretty sure the link should work the way I did it. So everyone, please go do that. I'm going to do it right now. Actually, take a few
seconds. As of now, there are about 4,000 people.
4,036. Yeah. And that's not enough.
Yeah, of course.
I know more people care than that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. The next thing is something is not as significant as that, but very significant. August 22nd, Apostasy Day, was, what's that, a week ago? We live streamed with many activists. Usama was with me, was with us. It was the coalition of organizations, Ex-Muslims International. We did talk a lot about Betty. If you want to learn a lot more about the situation with Betty, well, I don't know if it's a lot, but it's more than what you've heard here. I don't think it's a lot. Not a lot, even a lot of people know about her situation. So that's it. But
right now, if they visit apostophobia.com, it actually has some links and some additional information about what's going on.
Yep. So I'm going to update the video description right now with that website and with the words "Free Betty" right next to it, so you guys know what I'm talking about. And I just saved it. All right. So now you can see that if you want to see that. All right. That's it. Now we can go ahead and get started. Is that cool?
Well, maybe I can. Yeah, that's it. Never mind. I had another link in Arabic, but that's I think it's going to take a little bit of time to get it. Maybe in the course of the video, we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted this one. Okay, here's the post. You notice I took liberty in changing the title. I made mine a little bit more clickbait. I don't know. And by the way, I don't really know whether, like, don't mothers matter too? Aren't mothers also?
That was actually something that I wanted to say, because probably the experience of the person writing this came through the father, but I think in most cases it's actually especially in Muslim majority countries, there's an implicit idea that the girl's going to start wearing the hijab as early as possible, and it's very much the case that the mother is the one who has the greater influence on her daughters to start this early on. The father probably would interfere in situations where the daughter is not compliant, but that's of course not a rigid rule. It's possible that for this particular person, the thing started with the father right from the start, but it's the mother is as culpable as the father in this.
Yeah. Generally speaking, misogyny, like the culture of misogyny or the ideas, think of a culture as a set of ideas, a set of units, and those units of culture are the things that make up the culture and the misogyny that's in it. And a lot of the misogyny transfers over from mother to daughter, and aunts to daughter, and rather than directly from the man or the husband. And it should be clear to people, because of the basic thing in a patriarchal society, that's where the misogyny is the worst. That kind of by definition, right? I think so. Yeah. By definition.
I mean, it's there everywhere, but when you're looking at a patriarchal society, it's
well, my point is, the more patriarchal the society is, the more misogyny there is. I mean, and again, but just by definition, I think, if I understand these terms correctly. Where was I going with that? About where the daughters are like learning it or getting.
You started talking about the role of the female, the woman in.
So in a patriarchal society, at least all the ones I know, the mother is a stay-at-home mom taking care of the kids, raising the kids. The father is outside the house making money or whatever. And on top of all that, it's also at least this is how I interpreted things. You tell me if I'm wrong. The man brings the bread, the mother raises the kids, meaning the man is not raising the kids.
Yeah, for the most part, the role of the man is pretty much, maybe it happens in the form of an intervention if there is, especially if it's something that's touching the honor of the family, including showing hair. For that by itself is something that
you mentioned. Honor of the family. Oh, man, I don't know if I'm deviating by doing this, but when I was learning about honor killings a good 10 years ago, I was learning about this. And while I was a Muslim for 32 years, I didn't know about that stuff. I was living in the US. In a bubble. I mean, in a sense, Muslim in US is already a bubble, but I was in a small bubble within a bubble within a bubble within a bubble.
Yeah.
So here's the point. In a patriarchal society where that is where there is the most misogyny, it's also where the dad is least involved in the daughter's life, compared to the mother, compared to what's the opposite of patriarchal? What is it called? Where the egalitarian, right?
Yeah.
Egalitarian society is where the men and women are equal.
Well, you could quibble about that. You could say that the opposite of patriarchal is maybe matriarchal.
Well, it depends on which dimension you're trying to say opposite.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know what I meant.
Yeah.
So so fathers are not really raising kids. Most of the misogyny is transferring from mother's brain to daughter's brain. Anyway, I mean, that's kind of off topic, but it was just a general outline of things before we get into details of this post. Should we start reading?
No, but what you're saying is actually a very important point, because it shouldn't be the impression that it's the father forcing the daughter to do that and the mother is actually on the side of the daughter. No, that's actually very far from reality.
Right. Good point.
Because we have to remember that the mother herself will have been conditioned the same exact way as she was growing up, so that by the time she's a full-grown woman and she's raising these children, she not only manifests this on her own, because she's probably going to be wearing the hijab to begin with, but she becomes an enabler in a way. She's actually the guardian of this idea, the one who ensures that it's implemented. Because after all, if you also look at this from the point of view of Islam, there is a very famous hadith that says, all of you, كلكم, let me try to remember how it's in Arabic. كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. All of you are shepherds and you're all responsible for your herd. And so you go in the hierarchy until you reach the woman in the house, and she's a shepherd on behalf of the father. So in a way, she's responsible for the father, because there's such a thing as qiwama, which is basically the thing that shows the dominance of the father over the mother, all the females. Yeah, I just wanted to include this, because this is not only something that you could say, well, it's a cultural thing, it has nothing to do with the religion. No, it's actually built into the religion itself.
Well, now that you've said that, you forced me to say two more points before we get to the main point. Okay. And actually, the first one is a small one. I wanted to clarify something from earlier. I was saying, in a patriarchal society, and I mean in a Arabic Islamic society. I'm not too sure about the other Islamic societies. Islam says that in the first 7 years of the baby's life, and if there's a divorce, kid goes to mother. At 7 years old, to father now. So I guess what that is implying is, well, we might have to argue about this, but one thing I have is, first 7 years, mother is raising kids. The rest of the time, father is raising kids. Does that make sense? Is that how? Would you say it's like that?
I don't have numbers, so I cannot really corroborate or
number of what? The number of years or something else?
Yeah, but I think if I want to present a rationale of what's going on, the moment that the child becomes an actual individual, someone with a personality, someone with the ability to have an influence. Mainly, we're thinking about this from the perspective of manpower, and I stress man, not person power. It becomes someone who belongs to the chief of that tribal unit, which in this case would be the father. And so, in that sense, the father is not really raising as such, but also molding that child in order to satisfy the societal obligations after the mother has been taking care of, I don't know, changing diapers and the like.
Okay, you forced me to make another point. I didn't even get to my other point. Now I'm just clarifying the clarification. A lot of people see raising as molding.
Yeah.
And I believe the correct way of raising is not molding.
Okay.
Anyway, that's a small point. Now I want to say this. I don't know exactly what you said, but it made me think of narcissism and a narc parent. And in some families, there's a narc parent, and the second parent maybe is a little bit of a narcissist, not as bad as the first one, but what they're doing is enabling the main one. And the way they do that is things like, I'm going to take an extreme example. Let's say there's a father that sexually did evil shit to his daughter. And a proper mother, if they find out, would end that shit in some way. The kind of mother that I'm talking about, where basically both parents are narcs, they turn a blind eye, or they act like it's not happening, or are you aware of this, that this is a thing?
Well, if I want to evaluate what you're saying, and also this is from impressions, I don't have any statistics to back this, but I would probably say that this is most of the cases where the mother would just turn a blind eye, prefer to sustain the stability of the situation, even though it's not stable to begin with, and would let the father do.
Do you mean most cases of narc parents worldwide, regardless of religion or non-religion, or do you mean Islam?
No, I'm talking about situations of abuse. But again, this is impressions. Maybe my view is biased because the situations that come out are the really bad situations where.
Oh yeah. Because if there was a good parent that stopped it, well, there would be less stories about it.
We wouldn't hear about it. That's
yeah. And
but
to be clear, one way to stop it is we're divorced now, and I'm getting court involved.
Yeah,
and of course that's somewhat effective in a better country. And actually, if you got like as an example of a thing in the US, we got something called Department of Children and Family Services, and the name I just said is specific to my state. All the states have it. And if I think of Syria, it doesn't exist. It's not a thing. There's no department to protect children. If a child went to court and said, or to a policeman and said, my dad's beating me, the policeman or the court would say, okay, go back. He's not done. He's not done beating you.
Okay. I wouldn't go that far. It's I mean,
I exaggerated, you mean?
Yeah, I think it's very provincial in the sense that you might get someone who might empathize and work with a child, but I wouldn't generalize it to that extreme. But
well,
yes,
the law, here's the point: the law doesn't protect them. There isn't a Department of Children and Family Services that's specialized just for protecting children from their parents. That's how I see what that department is.
Right. There are departments that are specifically geared towards giving some kind of a protection, but definitely it's not at the same.
Is it specific to kids?
Yeah, kids and other groups. But yeah, I wouldn't generalize this too harshly, especially that this is going to depend on the countries. And because of the fact that I don't have.
Yeah, and I just gave an example of one country.
Yeah, so I don't know. But yeah. I wouldn't generalize.
By the way, off topic, maybe for next week, probably for next week. I think I already have the topic for next week. I just found out a new set of laws came out in Iraq, and they're all horrible. And I don't know how new it is, but it just showed up in the Explosive subreddit. I talked to Zoro about it. He's from Iraq. He knew a little bit about it. Anyway, I'm going to talk to him again more and see if I can bring some more Iraqi knowledge into it. Oh shit, I'm gonna wait until we can do it with him. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because that would give a completely different perspective. The same way that when we were talking about Bangladesh, for example, with Rome.
Yeah, exactly.
It gave a completely different perspective and shed light that we wouldn't have otherwise have.
Yeah. Although Syria and Iraq, we're Syrian backgrounds. It's Iraq's right next to it. It's almost the same thing, almost the same flavor, a little bit. Compared to the difference between the Levant, which is Syria, Iraq, and isn't that Jordan too?
Yeah.
So comparing the Levant to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, those are much further.
Yeah.
That's my point. That's all.
Okay, no, that's a completely.
That was my only point.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that there is a lot of difference.
Yes.
What I can say about Iraq and Syria is that even though they started off with the same, nominally the same regime governed by the Ba'ath Party, they diverged very, very quickly because of differences between.
Wait, did you say Syria and Iraq both started out with the Ba'ath Party?
Yeah. I
would like to learn a lot about that one day. Maybe even a podcast. That sounds like more than just a live stream, because I didn't know that, and that's interesting. Or maybe I did know that and didn't really understand it. I want to know a lot about what the Ba'ath Party is and that kind of stuff. And the thing you just said, how we went through different paths.
They personal differences and basically fighting each other. Anyway, that's a different topic.
Podcast, Ba'ath Party, Syria, Iraq, and then different routes. Okay. Gerwak says, hi, please like and subscribe. Yes, please do that. Even if you don't want to. I'm just kidding. Okay. I can't talk. Why don't you read?
Okay. So to prevent you from dying before the end of the podcast, let me. For a long time, I didn't understand why my dad was so adamant on forcing me to wear a hijab at 10 years old. When I was a freshman in high school, he even tried to force me to start wearing skirts um, to school. Okay, skirts. Okay, as opposed to pants, I think. But then COVID happened. When I went back to school, I simply didn't do it. Uh, for the 5 months that I was in school before the COVID lockdown, I obviously took the skirts off. Now I realized he thought if he made me put it on young, I'd be used to it and not resist it when I was of puberty age. He was severely mistaken. From the moment I put it on, I knew I was going to take it off. Once I started going to high school, he thought if I didn't resist and wore it when I was young, he'd be saved from hell because I didn't cover my hair. Is this hadith or verse true? I never heard of it as a Muslim, but now I know why many dads and brothers try to force this one, the woman in the family.
Yes. So, and by the way, I didn't closely read that post. Um, but now I noticed a couple of things that I didn't think of before. I want to start preparing a reply. So give me a moment just to copy paste something. First of all, when did we start talking about this? Like 2 minutes ago?
I would say so. Yeah, maybe uh, 30-minute mark or something.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna copy. Oh, here it is. What are we doing here?
Yeah, so it seems that
There. See how it does this automatic 1800? What is that saying? Wait, that doesn't sound right.
what does
That looks like 1800 minutes and 0 seconds. I must have made the link wrong. I think it's supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know how I messed that up with. I do it with an automatic, Excel thing. What is the most important thing we should tell her? I mean, I guess start with her first question. Is it hadith or verse even true?
Well, it's definitely not a verse. It's a hadith. And what I would encourage this person is to start reading maybe translations of the Quran, or to follow up on whatever it is that is mentioned here, because for me, when I'm looking at this from the perspective of someone who speaks Arabic, um, it's not the question is usually not phrased that way, because in English there's a kind of a gatekeeping that people who oversee basically the religion usually are the people who interpret or give you what the verse actually says. And so, on top of the actual obscurity of the Arabic, you also have the translation. And so, you need someone who is well versed in this to give you input. But this is not the case anymore. So, I would really encourage this person, not only for this particular idea, for just looking at whether male relatives are going to be implicated if they don't force that on their female relatives. They're going to go to hell because of it. it's not only that. There are so many different aspects of the religion that probably this person needs to be aware of, that they take for granted, or that they assume that, okay, they told me that this is so, I'm going to assume that the people who are saying it know better. uh, I think that attitude on its own might be problematic, and probably this person needs to, and not just this person, in general, people who are Muslims, I would really encourage them to know their religion much better. Once they have that, having the knowledge in their hand, um, uh, uh, that would inform a lot of the decisions that they probably should be making.
I just realized we've been talking about this since the very beginning, not just at 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Like a lot of what we said, even right at the beginning, is very relevant to this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take out the timestamp. I think I have to take out everything with the end symbol, right?
I don't know what you're doing. The comment is covering. Yeah.
Right, everything with that end symbol. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Oh, and I should get rid of the word timestamp. um, if I was to summarize what you just said, I mean, I think you said two things, but I think what you were saying partly is, in this case, it's not just a verse or hadith that explicitly says what she's asking for. It is like a collection of ideas across Islam that combined produce this result.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not only that. The the issue here is that if you view certain people around you as sources of authority, and you value their opinion and their authority, then you're probably not going to be questioning anything that they say. And what I'm suggesting is that go for yourself now, unlike the situation that we had, say, 20 years ago, where uh, many of the original texts were not available in languages other than Arabic. Now you can actually go and look at the verses, look at the hadiths, and see their context. That by itself is going to be very illuminating, because very often you get that impression that is given to you through the interpretation of your elders or the people who you respect. But you should form your own view on this, and going to the sources directly, bypassing whatever authority you have, is the best way to do it. I'm not saying that this means that this person should um, leave religion. The way that this last sentence is phrased is showing clearly that this is a believer and trying to verify if this is actually true or not. But what I'm saying is that it's like a small thread that you pull out of a piece of fabric. As you're pulling it, you're going to be pulling more than just that thread. You're going to unravel the whole thing.
Gurwak says, I thought I've heard and read on others' programs that the parents are somewhat responsible for children's beliefs, meaning the parents can spend time in hell if kids stray.
Yes.
Correct? And so here's the point. That idea right there, being in Islam, addresses this thing she's asking. It's kind of basic, I think. Not only could I go to hell for me doing bad things, I could go to hell for my kids doing bad things.
Yeah, and so it becomes a kind of the whole thing is really related to self-policing and policing others, because if it's going to be your responsibility through a very general principle in Islam, الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر, commanding virtue and fighting vice. That's in general, even if you're not a parent or someone who's related to that person.
So Muslims should be anti-natalists just to avoid hell. What I mean is, I could have done everything right in the sense that I did all the good deeds and avoided all the bad deeds, but then my kids, for whatever reason, did some bad things, and then I go to hell. That doesn't sound fair at all. So I'm an anti-natalist Muslim.
Well, the problem is that you can't, because you're
Oh shit! Contradiction. Shit! If there wasn't for contradictions, what you were gonna say? Go ahead.
Yeah, because if you're supposed to be a good Muslim, you're supposed to grow and multiply and have children.
So here's what you do: you trick Allah by getting a vasectomy without him knowing. I don't know how you do that exactly, but we'll figure that out later.
Yeah, it's you can probably have an unplanned accident or a planned accident. I hope you survive until the end.
Maybe we should end early, but anyway. So
I think that's an important thing that I would generally encourage people to do. Even I'm not saying that I'm not saying this in order to encourage the person to leave the religion, but it's possible to critique certain aspects of the religion while you're still in it, while you're still a believer, by simply not taking everything for granted. You shouldn't take anything for granted. And so in general, it's a good idea to examine whatever someone tells you, and if you're satisfied, good for you. But if you're not satisfied, that might lead to other inquiries into other aspects of the religion.
So let me ask you: when she asked, "Is this in Hadith?" and you said yes, was that I gotta talk slower. Was it the general idea that you can go to hell for your kids' actions? Did it specifically say hijab?
No, it doesn't say specifically hijab, but at least I cannot get something off the top of my head. Probably I could look for it now, but in general, the idea I began with this principle that the parents are shepherds and they're responsible for their herd. This is a very general principle that gets applied in all situations in a Muslim society. And so if hijab is supposed to be something that would take you to hell, then it's going to be your responsibility as a parent to ensure that your children, your female children, wear it.
You know what? I want to raise another issue that I think maybe she's missing, because it seems like she's saying, correct me if you think if you got a different interpretation. She's asking us if we think the reason her dad is doing this, or she came up with a theory that the reason her dad is doing this is so he avoids hell. But there's easily another theory, and there's another theory that could easily be the main one, or really the only one. Protecting his family's honor, which has nothing to do with Islam.
Well, that's what I was saying at the beginning. It does, but yes.
What I mean by it doesn't have to do with Islam is people could be doing it without a religion. Does anybody do that without a religion?
For the hijab, no. But here's the thing: Islam is a very, very communal idea, religion. It's not a monastic one where you go and just worship on your own. No, you manifest that worship in a very public way. And so talking about honor, which started from tribal origins. Um, the honor is something that also mixes very, very strongly with religion. So you will see that um, honor killings in general, for example, would be something that you would see in Muslim societies. Why is that? There is something that that has this tribal aspect of Islam that prevails in all of these society. But yeah, if the parent did not force his daughters to wear the hijab, before thinking about hell, there's another hell that he has to go through, which is that the society is going to be shunning him. Um,
Okay, but it's an internal issue. Let me explain that real quick. And actually, I just typed it out. There's another theory, which is that your dad cares about this because, and I love this wording that I choose here, he fears the shame that he might or would feel, he's expecting to feel, in the case that his friends say, your daughter's not wearing hijab. He's going to feel like shit at that moment. He expects it and he fears it, and he's forcing his daughter to wear hijab from that fear of shame.
yeah, but you're actually um, uh, phrasing this in a very Western way.
Oh yeah.
Things can get actually significantly more perilous for the person who doesn't abide by these rules. So the issue of honor, why is it so important? Because if you don't actually follow these rules, you can either be completely ostracized from the society, or you could actually be kicked out of that society completely, physically kicked out. And it does happen.
Oh, you're telling me a father's daughter
It's not,
could not wear a hijab and then he loses his business, for example?
yeah, loses his business, or this is probably a little bit extreme, especially if they're living in an urban place. But if this is happening in a smaller community, like a village or something like that, they could literally kick them out of the village if they perceive that some issue with honor has not been resolved. And that's
Okay,
why,
so, and a third theory, he's actually worried. Actually, is a confusing word here. He's worried that he will get shunned is not the right word. How do you go? Like, what's the right word that also is inclusive of losing your business? It's not just shunned. How do you social outcasting?
yeah, in in places where you have apostasy, one of the I mean, this is not apostasy, but one of the implications of apostasy is called social death. And social death is you're still living in the society. You're physically living, but you're going to be losing a lot of the privileges you had otherwise. Um,
Would you say it's accurate to use the word boycotting in that?
yeah. Ostracizing, outcasting. There's a lot of social implications when you don't follow the honor code.
Chrome thinks I don't know how to spell outcasting. I believe him, but whatever, it doesn't matter. maybe maybe it's not a real word.
It looks okay to
And
me.
by the way, like, to be clear, everyone, we're saying this as three separate theories, as if only one of them could be true. It could be a mix of these things. It could be every one of these things is in his head,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it probably is. All
Uh,
of them.
yeah, just speculating about one person is even worse than thinking about how um, on average this kind of behavior is explained. So of course we have no idea what's going in his head, but I think these are very plausible explanations for how this typically happens.
Okay. I wanted to say one more thing. It's not directly about this post, but it was in connection with what I started with, which was it's mostly women who are spreading the misogyny to the young females. And then when we mentioned honor killings, and when I was learning about honor killings 10 years ago, in some of the cases, and maybe this is very common, or the more common, I don't know. When there's an honor killing, the way it happened was women were driving it, and women got the men to do the action.
They do act, like I mentioned before, as enablers in many different situations.
But in this sense, it's more like leaders who get the soldiers to act rather than, the man is the leader and the woman is the enabler.
I don't know about generalizing this. Maybe it sounds a little bit too general.
I don't have any details in that memory I had from 10 years ago. I know I was learning it from Ayn Hirsi Ali, but I don't remember details. It was like in essays I read from her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed more talking means more coughing.
Yeah, it's not just correlation; it's causation in this case.
Wait, say that again.
It's not only correlation; it's causation. Although
yeah.
it's a kind of a feedback loop.
Isn't it kind of like more like a self-fulfilling prophecy then?
Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we have a good post here. Do you want to say anything else to her? I didn't specifically say, hey, go learn more about Islam. I didn't know how to write it in a short way, but she's going to hear it if she clicks on this link.
Yeah, I think that the fact that she mentions her plan originally, that she was not okay with wearing the hijab right from the beginning. It's great that she has this this drive from the beginning, that she's not accepting this. But where was I going with this? I don't know.
Maybe you'll remember it and say it. Let's read some comments. Gurwak says, read the Quran and Hadith. There's a fascinating movement of women calling themselves Islamic feminists. Oh, interesting. I think I heard of that, yeah. Who point to the current viewpoints of Islam as patriarchal and that they are interpreting things incorrectly.
If I want to say something about this so-called Islamic feminism, I would say it's a kind of a forced point of view. You have to be really a big contortionist in order to fit all the weird and unwieldy aspects of the religion into a kind of a modern mold that would tell you, okay, look at it at this. In fact, Muhammad was the biggest feminist that ever lived. He wasn't, but I've heard people say that. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, I have heard.
They don't say it like he's a feminist in the sense that he made shit better for women than compared to before.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the one I hear all the time.
Yeah, but they portray him as really someone who championed the cause of feminism. I mean, it really.
Oh, he really loves women. I mean, he did marry 13 of them.
Yeah.
How many were simultaneous?
Probably 11, I think. 9 or 11.
But only 4 for us. That's bullshit.
Yeah. I mean,
we want more wives.
Well,
I think it's insane, by the way, because, dude, 1 wife is hard enough, and nothing about wives. Spouse is the hard issue. 4 spouses? And that's not 4 times more difficult. It is 16 times more difficult, or I don't know what the function is. but it's not a direct proportional relationship.
Yeah. So if you look at the way that this is elaborated on in the Quran, it says you can marry four, but you have to be just. And if you cannot be just, then only marry one. But, and so they frame it in that view of ethics and a relationship. But in reality, if you look at the other point of view that's also in the Quran, it uses a verb that can be used to describe the sexual act and marriage, equating them in a way that's inseparable.
Okay, let's say the word. What is the word again?
Nikah.
Nikah. And the point is, and this is not the whole Islamic world, but a large swath of it uses the term nikah to refer to the term marriage.
Yes.
So they say nikah contract.
Yes.
Yeah. And on your marriage contract, it says nikah at the top.
Yeah.
And nikah means intercourse.
Yes. Yeah. So the kind of boundary that you have between intercourse and marriage then gets so blurred that essentially when you're talking about nikah, you're really emphasizing the sexual aspect of this.
Yeah. And to be clear, the other swath of Islam, so like where I was from, Syria, well, I don't know about everywhere, but like what we call it, at least in our subculture, is zawaj.
Yes.
Not nikah.
Yeah, it's very, very rare to see people in I don't know, I cannot generalize, but the places I know of, nobody uses the word nikah except in a sexual context today.
They don't have it on their marriage contract, you mean?
No, they do have it on the marriage contract because of its religious history, but I'm talking about everyday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so nobody.
Am I wrong when I say in our subculture we don't write nikah on the contract? We write zawaj.
If it's more civil law, then yes, but the religious
right. And my parents are from Syria, in an era where Ba'ath Party and they're Alawis. I'm not even sure that they're Muslims. Maybe they're atheists. I don't know. That's a version of trying to be more secular and less religious, right? At least that what they were doing for the past 50 years.
Yeah, I mean, the Ba'ath Party to begin with is not supposed to be an especially religious party, even though it does have a very clear religious component to it. But yes, it's one that emphasized Arab nationalism rather than religion.
So, real quick on that point that we just said about nikah, I don't even know why that came up, but the wording, the semantics, the language that they use. And I remember when I was in Syria, this is when I was getting married, and my future wife's sisters, I don't remember who said it, but somebody in the room said the words Laylat al-Dakhli, which means, and I knew what it means right away. I mean, I know some Arabic. I spoke Arabic. That's how I married my wife, by the way. I knew what it meant right away. Well, no. I didn't know. I remember, here's what I was thinking. Laylat al-Dakhli, that sounds funny. Pun intended, right? Nobody smiled. Everyone looked at me with a straight face. And I'm like, and I'm trying to interpret, why is there straight faces now? And I was like, wait, you mean you guys really do mean night of entry, meaning night of dick going in hole? And yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, that's what's used all over the region.
Why is that a phrase that exists in the culture? I'm from America, and also my parents never said anything like that, by the way. Like my subculture within Syria, they don't talk that way, apparently. They probably know about it, though. I'm pretty sure they know about it. I don't think it was like a new thing to my mom. But
No, I highly doubt it. I mean, it's everybody knows it.
Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
And I'm from America. In America, they don't talk that way. Am I wrong? Am I like biased, not really seeing things? Are there phrases like that?
I don't think there is a direct equivalent between that and what we have over there.
Well, yeah, fine. But are there other things like it, not necessarily direct equivalent, but have the same purpose? Are there other things like it?
Nothing is coming to mind because probably there is nothing directly equivalent to it or
Yeah, and
allied.
I wonder if maybe that stuff did exist in like old English from 700 years ago, and it died. Nobody used it anymore, and it's dead.
It's possible, and I think one of the main reasons for this is virginity. So and this is something that existed throughout. It's not only a Muslim thing. You also had that in Europe to some extent, um, because when someone is trying to get married to a woman, they need to make sure that she doesn't have a licentious history, that she has been with other men, and so the one of the things is to check for virginity, which is something that can be done by um, a female person beforehand. But one of the ways to check for this is that on the day of entry, the day of penetration, you're supposed to see blood because you're going to be breaking the hymen. If the hymen
Yeah.
is already broken, then there's no evidence for this to show. And so very often they would say, in order to celebrate this, we have to have some blood to show. Okay, here's the blood that that
So I
very
want to make clear then, you actually helped me realize something. I do remember finding basically what you just said. So it's not a phrase, but it's the policy of checking for virginity by looking for blood, and in a way that is so, seems to me, very dehumanizing. I mean, I saw it in a movie. Maybe it's bullshit, but I think it's real. It's like the 1500s royalty.
Yeah.
Which makes it different, meaning just because it's in royalty doesn't mean it's happening with the masses.
Yeah.
And what I saw was the first night of the let's say prince and his new wife, and they have this, they have those really big beds with that have their own house almost with it, so they're in that thing, and the curtains are there. You can they're a little bit translucent is the point, but not fully. And who's there while they're supposed to be having sex? Everybody, like 30 people. So that when it's done, they go check the sheet and be like, aha, we got the proof.
Yeah.
That shit's insane. And I guess that is the same level of like vulgarity as the phrase Laylat al-Dakhli.
Yeah, but at the same time, to portray this as a kind of the norm that happens every single place, this is absolutely not true. Especially in urban settings, nobody cares. It could still be called that, but it's not going to have this kind of spectacle where you're supposed to demonstrate the presence of blood and so on.
Yeah. Let's do some comments. Gerwak says, I think I've heard via programming that according to Hadith, maybe it is Quran, that as a Muslim, you are obligated to tell one making a mistake they are doing so just once. Yeah.
The just once aspect is probably related to hadith, not to the Quran. The Quran urges you to do al-ma'ruf, which is to instruct the application of virtue or the following virtue. But the hadith, if I am not mistaken, there is a hadith that says that it's going to be your obligation to fix a wrong situation by hand. If you can't, then you try to do that by word. If not, then you do it through your heart, between you and yourself, essentially. But that's a hadith, not a Quranic verse.
All right, next one. Gurwak says, and by the way, thank you, Gurwak, for all these comments. It really helps us out, gives us good stuff to talk about, and you make very good comments.
Yeah, agreed.
Questions. So Gurwak says, Rami and Usama, social isolation and social death are serious threats to people. Oh, yes. Removing people from the society, friends, family, support, etc., what they are used to. Yeah.
Yeah, this is especially so. Why is it that you see honor killing in, or honor culture in general? You would see it mainly in those societies where people are in a closed knit setting where everybody knows everybody. If you do something, that's going to have some kind of an implication on you. That's exactly the case. If you want to belong to that group, then there's going to be a set of or a list of
even if the group is Nobel Prize physicists.
Well, I really hope that there are no Nobel Prize winners who would actually even contemplate something like that. But I mean, who knows? There are really some idiotic pronouncements that Nobel Prize winners have made over the years. So it's not unthinkable to have them utter things that are not true. But that doesn't mean that they're going to go that far.
Let me switch angles here. Can you read that?
Sure. So atheist. So again, Gurwak, atheist, ex-Quaker, ex-Muslim via fiance, culturally Jewish, establishing virginity. I remember seeing a king or prince wave a small cloth in front of massive peasants, theatrical perhaps. I mean, you can understand why this is going to be important for kings and princes, because if they want an heir, they have to ensure that this is their progeny, and
if DNA test solves the whole problem,
supposedly, but for in Islamic Sharia, actually, they would very often say this is still not enough, because in Sharia, actually, there's a hadith.
Sharia knows about DNA tests?
No, it actually says that if you use in modern day DNA test, this is actually not conclusive. You have to let me actually look up the hadith, because it makes a distinction between yeah, the hadith says الولد للفراش والعاهر للحجر. So that basically gives the ability of the woman to name the father based on how the sexual intercourse took place, and for in many situations, and I've heard this in Muslim societies, they view that as something that has priority over DNA testing to determine the parentage of someone.
I think maybe we should stop.
Maybe we should.
We did go work today. This was all good. I had a lot of fun too, and I didn't know we were gonna go on to so many interesting topics. I didn't have any of it planned, by the way.
That's the nice thing about how this works, because if you have a very broad plan about what to do, then the specifics just basically take care of themselves.
Let's do one more. Can you read that?
Right. My ex-fiance talked about her friends turning on her kids and family, being disappointed, not accepting in her if she married a non-Muslim man. Social death is real. Yes, that's absolutely true. Is especially when it comes to a woman marrying a non-Muslim man. So for them, this would be haram to have a woman marrying a non-Muslim man, even if he is a Christian or a Jew. But the opposite is actually not haram, and it has a justification. A Muslim man can marry a Christian or a Jewish woman with the stipulation that his goal is to convert her. So it's not haram there; it's encouraged so that you would have the chance to do the conversion, to have someone take Islam. But the other way around, it's haram. And that actually is somewhat indirectly related to this idea of honor, because when you're having some women go outside of the family and being married by a non-Muslim, it's like, essentially, since it's haram, it's like she's either committing some sin, zina, adultery, or she's being raped.
Mulhad al-Islam is here with us. Hello.
Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah.
He says that. So I don't think I can continue.
Okay. I think it's a
read this.
But to bring it back to the topic, if the family deems hijab mandatory, then social death is a factor. Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with that. If when the family is living within that kind of society that really values this kind of uniformity with how these different details are adhered to, then definitely yes. If someone doesn't follow the rules, then social death, or just simply being kicked out of the society completely.
Okay, we're ending it here.
Okay.
And this is only a metaphor. All right. Bye, everyone.